mine. Okay. She's a former student of mine and from Cloud and Fire. And as you guys, I think I mentioned, she's that school was for kids who dropped out of high school for different reasons. And the reason why I asked Havah to come back, she graduated several years ago, but I see her on Facebook and she's just doing amazing. She really is. She's in college and she's like this super like brainiac science person asking questions that I'm like, I have to look up that answer. So she's really doing amazing, but I thought it would be really interesting to kind of, for you guys to hear some of the challenges that she experienced that actually put her in the situation where she dropped out of high school. And then I'm kind of curious, I don't even know all the answers to this, but I'm kind of curious, Havah, like, how did you end up slowly getting back on the right track to actually go like finish high school and then actually go to college and be doing so well in college? So, and so go ahead, Havah, why don't you start us off? I know that you're struggling with anxiety right now, and I appreciate you telling us that because a lot of people here can relate to the anxiety. So, okay. And you were like, oh, my ADHD is going to make me like go off on a tangent. So I think that's pretty funny too, because a lot of people, maybe not, I'm not sure. I know Danny shared about her ADHD. She's not here right now, but yeah, people can relate. So yeah, just awesome. Share a little bit, like, what were some of the challenges that caused you to drop out of high school?
Okay, yeah. So I guess it's a lot, right? So I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. And I didn't speak until I was 6 years old. And so my mom, I don't know, she got me like diagnosed with like all these different things. She put me in therapy, she homeschooled me, blah, blah, blah. I was homeschooled until 8th grade. And then I had zero social skills. I remember doing really well in my science classes in 8th grade. But then I didn't know how to interact with people. So in 9th grade, I got bullied a lot and teased a lot. But the people who accepted me, they were like smoking weed and doing all these bad things and blah, blah, blah. And like me just like yearning for acceptance, I suppose. I fell into the wrong crowd. And so my mom decided to take me out and homeschool me again. But I suppose at that point, I was too far gone psychologically. So like I lost my spark of life, I guess, right? So I continued hanging out with bad people and I continued going down the wrong path of like drugs and alcohol. And then that landed me in jail. And I went to jail 3 times. One time my mom called the cops on me. But then my very last time, I just had this like revelation. Like I just thought a lot about where my life had become and like where I was. And I was like, this is not who I am. It's really not who anybody is, right? Unless like they're real psychopaths and they do belong locked up, but who knows really if there's hope for them, who knows. I like to believe nobody belongs in jail. So I just like thought about it a lot. And I just remember like laying there and I was like, this is not what God wants me to be. Like, this is not, and it's funny, like the only book I really read was like the Bible and like a few other like random books in there. And I was like,
in jail? You're reading those in jail?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're Jewish too, right?
Yeah, I'm Jewish. But I mean, it's the same thing, really. And so I was just like reading a lot and
uh-oh. Oh no.
Some chores, but like I usually had escapism. And so I guess I wanted to escape from my feelings. I just wanted to escape from my reality, right? I just had escapism in general. And so When I was in jail, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start working out. So I started working out every day. I decided to read morning and night until I fell asleep. And I started building those like small things to like, I guess, become like a productive member of society. Um, and then I got sentenced to rehab, which was an interesting experience. I stayed there for 4 years because my parents kicked me out. Um, and like,
Can you,
even though
Hava, can you, by the way, people can ask questions in the chat, but what were
tangent, am I
you,
going on a tangent?
no, you're not going on a tangent. I just wanted to ask, like, why were you sentenced to jail?
Oh, why was I? Okay, possession.
Oh, okay.
I had possession of
Possession
drugs.
of what?
Oh, we don't want to talk about that.
Okay. Were you selling or just possessing?
Possessing.
Okay.
So I hard drugs.
And were you using as well?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
I was a drug addict. It's really awkward for me to talk about because that's not who I am, and it's like really embarrassing. But yes, I was a drug addict.
You know what? You know what's so amazing is that when Hava was in high school, she was in my classes. Like she was, I don't know, you just randomly mentioned something about being in jail, and I just did a double take because she was like straight A student. She was
I
like
still am.
yes. But and so it was just so hard for me to be like, what? Like you like fell in with the wrong crowd and you like went to jail, and your jail stories were kind of interesting too. But I was just like, yeah, I think that was so shocking to me because you're so not that, but how you kind of ended up there was kind of interesting.
Right, hold on. Hey, John. Okay, are you doing okay?
No, what's up?
I'm helping out an old teacher of mine. I'm on a Zoom meeting. I forgot to tell you. Are you gonna be in and out?
No, I'm picking up my phone and going.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hi.
Hi. Ellie asked, how long were you in jail?
The first time it was 2 weeks. The second time it was a day. The third time, I think it was also a day. 4 times I went to jail. Okay, yeah. I don't know if I mentioned that. Okay, yeah, 4. And then the very last time, it was 45 days. And it felt like forever. But then I met a bunch of people in rehab that they've been there for like 9 months. And I was like, oh my God, I would kill myself. That's what I said. I was like, oh my God, like, how did you do it? They were on ankle monitors. They were like there for Grand Theft Auto. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I never got into that. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. What's the question?
So you kind of you went to rehab for like 4 years? What?
Yeah, I was sentenced for a year.
Okay.
But because I had nowhere else to go and I wanted to go back to school. So my second year there, it was like, I guess, divine intervention, right? There was a student, or not a student, there was a resident at the rehab who went to Clown Fire at some point and had given one of the case managers a flyer. And so during one of my meetings with the case manager, I saw that and I was like, oh, that seems like a good school. Okay. And so I just like called, whatever, did that.
How old were you when you were going through this?
Which part? The jail part?
Yeah.
From 18 to 19.
And so
So
from rehab,
it's on my record.
from rehab, that's where you came to Cloud and Fire after rehab.
Yeah.
And were you
I was in rehab while I was going to Clown Fire.
Oh, I didn't know that. And were you homeless during that time? Or were you staying
Technically, I guess I was homeless during like when I was in rehab.
Mm-hmm.
I slept there, I ate there. It was like my home. So, technically, I had no real permanent home. So, yes, I was homeless.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't, the only time I was truly homeless was when I was on drugs and my parents had kicked me out. And I was like going from like couch to couch to couch, So, like during those 4 years, I was homeless, but I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how did you go from homeless in rehab to like slowly getting, and what were some of the struggles that you had emotionally, if you don't mind sharing?
I always, and I still do, but when I was younger, because of my diagnoses and because my mom didn't really, I guess, have faith in me. She kept saying, like, if you don't get on Social Security, you're gonna sleep under a bridge. Like, she would make like kind of mean comments, like she didn't believe in me. She didn't want me to reach my full potential, or maybe she was afraid that I couldn't. I'm not really sure. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she just didn't know. But a lot of my struggles come from that. So I never felt good enough. I still kind of don't feel good enough sometimes. Um, I didn't think I had, like, God had a plan for me, or like that I was purposed to do anything, or I was just like, I had really, really, really low self-esteem. Like, oh my God, I'm 27. What am I doing with my life?
Sorry, my internet's kind of unstable, so I keep losing your interesting conversation. Okay. So did you mention like kind of the anxiety, the depression, the ADHD?
Oh yeah, no, I haven't, I guess. So my anxiety, I'm gonna wait till John leaves again. He came in. You're looking for your phone?
Yeah.
Dude, it's
sorry.
in the kitchen.
How do you know?
I saw it. I'll be right back.
All right. Oh, I see some chat questions. Brandon, can you keep your phone on, please? And Peyton, thank you. Jaylene,
Okay, I'm back.
okay.
Okay. What?
You were talking about
Oh
like,
yeah, ADHD, right? Anxiety.
uh-huh.
I like, oh look, a distraction. So my anxiety, what do I say about it? I'm an anxious person.
What,
Um,
do you feel like that also contributed to you struggling in different ways?
no, what's weird is that I don't remember being anxious until like later in life.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was a kid, the feelings I just remember are being like depressed and like lethargic. Oh, my cat wants to go out. Get out. 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 Okay. The feelings that I remember as a kid were just like, I didn't want to be alive, so like depression. And then not really anxious, just like depressed and lethargic, right? I couldn't really do anything. I was just like bleh, all the time. But then when I went to rehab and like subsequently after, I started developing really bad anxiety. So like at Cloud and Fire, I remember like I was really anxious for no known reason. And like I was overthinking like everything. Or maybe it was because like after I stopped doing drugs, maybe it altered my brain chemistry. You never know. Maybe because I damaged so many brain cells. Like that's like my neural pathways just like rebuilt. Or maybe I was so like, maybe because I started wanting to do the right thing, I was really anxious about making sure I was good enough and making sure I was this, making sure that, right? And so I suppose that's where my anxiety comes from. I want to make sure that like I'm constantly doing better. And I also get anxious about possibly saying the wrong things, or like saying the wrong things, doing the wrong things, not paying attention to social etiquette. So I guess that's also where my anxiety comes from.
And
But I
you
feel like
mentioned, did you say that you think you have autism or you're on the spectrum?
that's what my mom got me diagnosed as. It's because I didn't talk until I was like 6. And then when I did speak, my first word was a sentence, and I said like, "This is too hot."
Mhm.
So apparently I could speak, but my parents are convinced I didn't know how to speak. I don't know. But they said my first word was a sentence. And they're like,
Mhm.
oh, you can't talk. Wow. So, and that, and plus I had like zero social skills. Um, who knows why, right? So, I'm not sure if I am on the spectrum. I could be. My boyfriend seems to think so sometimes, but it could just be like ADHD. But isn't ADHD kind of like spectrumy too? Who knows?
Mhm.
Yeah.
We all have our things. So that's kind of where you were. And now so what are some things that kind of helped you overcome step by step? So like the word of the day is resiliency. And I feel like that is like that's the golden word of like how do you bounce back or bounce out of like difficult situations. And I know all the people in this group, we've all experienced one or more of the things that you've mentioned, hopefully not the hard drugs, but it could be soft drugs.
Nobody wants to experience those.
So what are some things that you did that slowly moved you from that kind of like, I can't move, I'm just depressed, I'm so, to actually taking steps to be where you are right now, which is really thriving in college?
What does everyone else think? Everyone, what do you guys think?
So does anyone have any ideas like what she might have done to what's one or two things she could have done? All right, Elijah, go ahead.
It's not that. Like, I just have a question.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's not about like what. I was just wondering, like, what kind of hard drugs? You don't have to like answer. I just want to know.
You don't
Wait.
have to answer, but I want to know.
Like, you don't have to like answer, like, say what kind. I just want to like. I'm just curious of what put you in rehab.
Uh, I saw drugs, but I smoked them and I took them, I pill form.
Oh, in rehab, what was like the most common like substance people were in for?
There was a lot of crazy people. Those people were on meth. And then there was a lot of people that were like really depressed. And like those people were on heroin. So like nothing heroin. And then there was one person I met who was a pothead, but she was in there for Grand Theft Auto. So like that didn't fit the
Mm,
image. But mostly like hardcore drugs. Yeah.
oh, okay, okay.
So
Thank you.
Elijah, what do you think what do you think one step was that she had to do in order to kind of move forward?
Like focus on future, I guess.
Yeah,
Focus
but
on.
why would I even care to focus on the future? Did you know that the recidivist rate is really high? There's people like I've been 7 years clean, almost 8 years in June. And like I got clean at 19. There's 50-year-olds who are still doing drugs like that. So like why do you think what made me decide at 19 and still in my prime, right? What do you think made me realize that that's not what I'm supposed to be doing in life?
Maybe when you went to like when you went to the center, maybe like realizing like, oh, like I don't want to be like these people older than me still here. I don't want to be in and out of rehab. I don't want to go to jail for like doing crimes while I'm under the influence, stuff like that. Or like maybe just like realizing that like this is not what I should be doing. Like I know like people probably like don't care when they're on the substance, but like when you get off like for like a certain amount of time, like when withdrawals goes away and stuff, you're like, okay, this was a bad idea. Let's not.
Yeah, and it was interesting that you said that like you said people don't really think about it while they're on drugs. Like I
Yeah.
thought about it while I was on drugs too. Like I
Yeah, like
remember
when you're on drugs, you think about like like stealing, robbing, like
I
doing
never did all that, but
really like when
really,
people are like on like I don't know, people like who like like for example like bars, people who go on those like Xanax, they like they like think about like stealing from like people's houses, like, and they just do stupid shit that puts them in jail, and they just wake up, and if you black out from bars, you just, oh yeah, I wake up in jail. Like just people do like stupid stuff on drugs.
I am very grateful that I was not a part of that mentality.
Yeah,
What
some
about,
drugs.
I see Jaylene has her hand up. Thanks, Elijah, for sharing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jaylene.
Um, did you ever, while you're while you were on drugs, did you ever like care about the people around you, like their feelings or how they felt? Did that have anything to do with you like coming clean? Because you were like, okay, damn, like I'm really mentally like hurting the people around me.
It's
Wow.
cool that you say that. Yeah, I like that. So meth messes with your brain. Um, it essentially turns people into like sociopaths or whatever, right? So I remember like at the end of my run, that's what people in NA call it, like at the end of your run, I remember like realizing how much damage I was doing. And I remember like I didn't really care at the time about how I was hurting my mom because I had a lot of resentment towards her. But I care about how I was hurting my dad. And like now I'm getting emotional. um, so I remember one time, like when I was homeless, and this is before I went to rehab, um, he had a picture of me when I was a kid, like in his car. And like one time, like I like slept in his car because I didn't know where to go, and like I didn't want to go back to like the meth house, you know. I just remember like seeing this picture he left in there, and it was so sad because I realized what a monster I've become. And and then like I held on to that. And that's it made me stop wanting to stop using. But the guy I was dating at the time, he kept like wanting to like do drugs with me, and he was always giving it to me. And it's interesting because even if you know something, like I guess I wasn't strong enough to stop because I was doing it for so long at that point. It's been a year, right? like I didn't know how to stop. And especially when the people around you, like who accept you, all they're doing is drugs. You just get trapped in this net, in this web of drugs. And but I kept thinking about that in the back of my head. And I even said to that boyfriend at the time, I'm not getting drugs for you anymore. Cause like I had the connect, he didn't. And I was like, I'm not doing this for you anymore. But the sick part about it is he got his mom doing it with him and me. And she was an old alcoholic, very sick when I think about it. Like, why would he do that to his mom? I don't know, whatever. And she tried to convince me it wasn't my choice to tell him that he can't do it anymore if I don't get it for him. And so pretty much I was like, I fell back into the trap. Okay, so I was really dumb. I could have just walked away, right? But I was like, oh, I guess I have to keep getting this for them because it's not their choice to quit, it's mine, right? So whatever. And of course, because I was too weak at the time, I was doing it with them as well. But I kept that like memory of like my younger self, my inner child, right? I kept that memory with me. And so the very last time I went to jail, I was just like, I'm done. And that pretty much just shaped like who I became, I guess. Wanting to keep that innocence, right? Wanting to keep that, my soul intact. So I guess it was, for me, it was a journey of faith, a spiritual journey. Okay.
So you went from jail to rehab, and from there you continued to work on, and then you went to school.
I worked for a little bit, but then I decided I wanted to go back to school because I didn't have my high school diploma yet. And then I did that. And then I started going to Pierce College. And then there was a new person that worked at the rehab. He wanted to kick me out because I was there for too long.
That's
And,
right.
he was being super mean about it. He was like, you need to leave. I'm not going to kick you out, but I'm going to make it really hard for you to stay. So he took like all of my freedom, and which was really like unfortunate because it was like, I want to say it was shitty, but I guess I don't know if I can say that, right? It was shitty. Okay, whatever. My friend who was there less than me, had less clean time than me, she could do whatever she wanted. And I was like, why are you guys doing this to me then? And it's because, quote unquote, she was looking for her own place. And I was like, okay, great. So I went to a homeless shelter for like the same age range, like young adults. And I stayed there until I moved to Texas.
Wow. Wow. So you had to kind of drop your friends, obviously. Uh-oh, did I freeze?
You did freeze.
Okay, sorry, man, this is the worst time to be freezing. Can you hear me now? Okay, yeah, so I guess it sounds like it was just a matter of the will. That fourth time in jail pretty much sealed the deal for you that I'm not coming back. And that gave you the motivation to kind of take the steps to kind of move in the right direction.
Yeah, and it was also because like my brain became so damaged from the drugs, I started hallucinating and I thought I was in my own hell. And I mean, technically I was, right? But like I literally thought I was in hell, like I died and I went to hell. So like that was a nightmare, right? A nightmare that I never wanted to live ever again.
Mhm.
And that was my bottom, I guess.
Mhm. That's very scary.
Yeah.
Okay. Ellie said, did you have a job? Did you have a job?
Oh, did I have a job?
Uh-huh.
Like while I was in rehab?
Mhm.
Yeah, I had a job. I had a couple jobs.
Mhm.
And then I stopped working to go to Cloud and Fire. And then after Cloud and Fire, I started working at a nonprofit called Environment California.
Mhm.
And I worked there for 2 years while I was going to Pierce College.
Mhm.
And then I moved to Texas. And I started working at a, I guess I want to say oil company. It was called Intertech. It was an automotive research group. And we did tests on engine oils and urea samples and like different kinds of things. And I was a chemical technician for almost 2 years. And now I live in Houston.
Any
Going to
other
school.
questions for Havah? I feel like it's a pretty phenomenal story. It really is, because there's a lot of people who don't hit their bottom after 4 times, and they just, like you said, they're in their 50s and they're still struggling with addiction.
I think it's a matter of like wanting to remember who you are. Like I remember in Cloud and Fire, like I forgot what book it was, but I remember in like one of the book clubs we had, it was like, it was definitely about God, right? But it was like, dang, I can't remember, but it's a matter of perspective is what I learned. Like these two things happen, but you can see the divine in this, like this thought or but not in this thought, right? The same thing is happening, but it's a shift in perception.
Mhm.
So I think like I don't know. I wish other people, I guess, had the same experiences. Well, it sucks because like I feel like more people my age should have gotten it that are still on drugs, right? But like for me, it was just a matter of God and shifting my perspective,
Mhm.
and just like so desperately wanting to be the person that I was meant to be in this world,
Mhm.
whatever that means, right?
Mhm.
But it was my desperation that got me clean,
Mhm.
and I guess hope, because I think people that are on drugs usually don't have hope,
Mhm.
and so I had hope.
So do you have any advice for someone? I don't think anyone's as deep into drugs right now, but I know a lot of us struggle with motivation. A lot of us feel like, what's the point of kind of pushing through? A lot of us struggle to just get out of our room. Um, I guess everybody's different, but any thoughts? Uh-oh, I can't hear. Can you guys hear?
Fuck the world. But I guess my motivation would be sometimes you just gotta do it. I don't know, like if you want, but I guess maybe it's about choice, because I'm making an active decision to be a productive member of society, because I'm making an active decision to be my better self. I don't have to. It's a choice. I
Mhm.
don't have to do the dishes. I don't have to take care of my cats, right? I don't have to take care of myself. If I chose to, I wouldn't brush my teeth or take a shower or whatever, right? That's a choice. But it's because I'm actively deciding moment to moment who I want to be, I'm making those decisions to get me there. I want to be in the science field, right? I can't achieve my goals if I don't go to school. I can't achieve my goals if I don't study. And yes, sometimes I feel really depressed. Sometimes I feel like I'm really anxious. My ADHD is acting up. I can't study as much as I want to. But thank God there's a whole new day tomorrow, right? So I guess just taking it one step at a time, just making that choice moment to moment, second by second. Who do I want to be right now? Who do I want to be tomorrow? Is who I am right now or tomorrow better than who I was yesterday? And just constantly make that effort to continue to grow. And I guess that's where my motivation comes from.
Any last thoughts or comments that you want to make to Hava? I'm going to let her go in about 5 minutes because we have to look at testing. But if there's anything that kind of stood out in what she said, or you feel like was helpful, I'm going to have you answer the questions on the Padlet as well that she'll be able to look at. But anything that you feel was helpful in hearing her story? Anyone? You guys gonna write it in the Padlet?
Everyone is capable of overcoming their obstacles if they just believe.
Amen. But I think, like drug addiction is really, it's a difficult one. I will admit, having had a, father who had a lot of addictions. And I think that you went for treatment, which is huge. Like you can't, I don't think it's, I think it's very difficult to quit on your own. And even now in like this culture of like e-cigarettes and stuff, like the vaping is like, the nicotine is like 20 times more potent than just what smoking cigarettes was like back in the day. So how, like, I'm not sure how, I'm not sure if just your will and your, like, um, positive outlook is going to help you quit
Oh
some of
no,
these
it's not.
drugs.
When I stopped smoking cigarettes, I had to use the nicotine patch. So is that something physical and my will to stop, right? So I guess, like, sorry, repeat what?
I mean, like the
It's hard
will,
to get on drugs, right?
yeah, your will alone is not enough to change, to stop doing what you're doing if drugs are involved.
I think that's more of a shift in perception. Like someone has to be so beat down, and it's kind of sad. Someone has to be so beat down, and you can't really determine someone's beat down versus your own, right? It's all different. So I think someone has to be so beat down that they want to stop. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Mhm.
Because like I was so beat down that I wanted to die, but I didn't want to die. No one really wants to die normally, right? Because we have this like intrinsic desire to live and continue on, right? But I think someone has to just be like so beat down where, oh, maybe it comes down to the ego of like maybe like ego of like I don't want help, or like I don't want to change, I don't feel comfortable changing. Maybe it's ego of like thinking you're gonna lose who you are if you get help, right? Or maybe you think that's become who you are. I don't really know. But I think it just boils down to like wanting something better. And then there's the belief aspect, I think. But like how do you make someone believe there's like better, right? I think that's the difficult part, because if someone doesn't believe in hope, they're going to continue being hopeless. Someone has to want to believe, or I guess it also boils down to faith, right? You have to have faith and you have to believe that there's better in order to stop.
Mhm. And I hope just even hearing your story, everybody here sees that there is hope and there is better. And yeah, all right. So Elijah has one last question, then we'll let you go. Go ahead. Elijah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just wondering, what do you think is like the best way to like quit like substances and everything? Like if you would have to like give like advice to someone like going through substance abuse, like what would you say?
Well, it depends on the substance.
Just like different kinds.
How about like Nick and THC? Are
Nicotine
those
and
good ones?
THC.
Yeah, just the two.
Nicotine and THC. Well, I mean, in my experience, people only use hardcore drugs because they're self-medicating, probably due to a spiritual malady, right? And I've never been a THC person. It made me paranoid and anxious. But for some people that it calms down, and I guess, yeah, they can get addicted to it. Maybe the best thing for that, if you really wanted to stop, well, isn't THC not actually physically addicting? But I guess
It's not physically addicting. It's
yeah,
more like a mentally addicting substance.
emotionally.
So if
There's
someone
no
wanted to, wait, what?
there's no like physical addicting compounds in it, like how nicotine is like physically mentally addicting, like, and it like wires to your brain. It's like not like that. It's like you like cause a dependency on it.
If someone wanted to quit smoking weed, um, weed probably coping for depression. Um, do you work out? Do you
Every day,
exercise?
7 days a week. Yeah, I'm a bodybuilder. I work out 7 days a week.
So what is weed for?
I don't smoke weed. Mine's for friends.
Okay. Does this friend smoke weed because they don't work out? Or like, do they work out? Does this
This
friend work out?
this friend smokes weed because he likes to smoke weed a lot.
Okay,
It
does
makes
he
you
work
feel
out?
good, right?
Yeah, it makes the person feel very, very good and makes them sleep pretty well.
Mm.
Okay, so maybe they can um do other things that are productive that make them feel good. Like maybe do arts and crafts, DIY,
This
or
person
like
doesn't like drawing.
they like drawing.
This
Doesn't
person doesn't like drawing. He sucks at it.
Okay, what about finding a hobby or like working out? Is
This person is working out a lot.
this
Yeah,
person
he
does work
works.
out a lot?
Yeah, he works out a lot too.
What? Why are they
This
smoking weed?
person needs to take melatonin and also realize that THC is killing their brain cells, so they're not going to be very smart in their future.
Want him to quit is what he tells me, but like he likes it because it makes him feel good.
Okay, can't he find something else that makes him feel good? Like going to the park?
But like, what are you gonna do at like 12? Like, let's say it's 12 o'clock at night and you want to feel good. You can't really go to a park.
Why do you want to feel good at 12 at night when you're supposed to be sleeping?
And what if you can't sleep? What if this person can't sleep?
Oh, okay. If they need to sleep, take melatonin. That's
What
great.
if melatonin gives them sleep paralysis?
What about GABA? Hold on.
What if that person's already on GABA?
No.
What if
GABA.
that person's already on GABA?
I highly doubt it.
He is on GABA.
Gabapentin or gamma
Gabapentin.
aminobutyric
You guys
acid?
need to have your own
Gabapentin.
conversation,
This is
but
not gabapentin. This is from the vitamin
Uh-huh.
shop. It's an all natural supplement.
This person's on
Aminobutyric
gabapentin.
acid. Wait, what?
Oh. This
okay.
person I know for a fact is on gabapentin also.
No, this isn't
And then,
gabapentin. I'm not talking about.
oh wait, what is it?
It's an all natural supplement and promotes sleep.
I'll get the link
I
from
was not
I'll get the
aware.
link, Elijah. Have a last
Okay.
nicotine. Any last suggestion for nicotine?
Okay,
Addiction.
yeah. So when I quit smoking cigarettes, I did it because I wanted to prove to myself that I could stop doing drugs, and I also got really bad bronchitis in rehab. And I was like, it's God telling me I need to quit smoking. I was like kind of eccentric. And so I got a nicotine patch, and it was really hard. And I had to fight through it because they would like Pavlov's bell. They would call smoke break, and I would just like hear that like smoke break, and I would just be like, like because I was so addicted to nicotine. And then I had to remember I'm not doing that anymore. I'm a free air breather, right? No more. So and it took about a month. It was a struggle for sure. But after about a month, like it went away. And then cigarettes smelled terrible to me.
Jaylene, did you have a question?
Okay, I forgot how I was gonna explain this. So what if messes they make like all the time? Like not talking about like physical messes, but like everyone else's like if that makes sense, I don't know how to explain it. But like how can they like make them stop? Not stop, but like make them realize like, hey, look what you're doing to me. Like it hurts and you don't even care. Like
There's a program for that. It's called Al-Anon. You can't, it's really shitty. You can't make anyone stop. I had a roommate. I tried to make my roommate stop. I even like gave him books. I was like, read this NA book. He just did it more secretively, right? And then I had to kick him out. And then he was like, oh, I'll stop. But he was lying. No matter like what he would say, I just didn't believe him anymore. And then like I found out he was obviously still using. And so you can't do anything. As much as you want to, you
Yeah,
can't.
Yeah, like I know me just saying like, well, that like them just saying like stop. Obviously, it's not gonna do anything, no matter how much like I explain like how it hurts. I know they won't stop, but like I don't know how I'm trying to explain this. But it's like, yeah, I know like words or saying. I'm saying like how you one day just woke kind of like woke up and was like, damn, like look what I'm doing. I'm done with this. Like, with that, is that gonna happen to everybody?
I wish it does, but unfortunately, there's people who die from drug addiction and they don't wake up. Um, it's kind of a hit or miss, right? I don't know. Like, I don't know from one person. I wish I had the answer, right? Like, I wish like I had this like piece of wisdom that like uh everyone would understand it, right? But I don't. It's the hardest part about drug addiction is that it's an individual journey. They would just have to hit their own rock bottom. They would hopefully, find their higher power. They would have to build their own inner spiritual, I don't know, whatever. Um, it's I mean, hopefully they do, right? If you really care about them, maybe ask them why they use and maybe try to dig deep, in them to see like why they do it, what drives them to keep doing it if they want to stop. And maybe you can plant the seed
Because
somehow.
because they're
But
not
like
happy, but like I don't know how to really fix that.
you can't fix it.
Exactly.
Um, but you can try to help them. You can try to plant some sort of hope seed, right? And then maybe as they progress in their addiction, like maybe they'll think of you, right? You never know.
And that Al-Anon program is actually really helpful for people who are the friends and family of people who are addicts, because it helps you know how to respond and how to not enable them. So like Hava was sharing how she was getting drugs for her former boyfriend, like feeling like, well, I can't stop him, but it's his decision, but then she's still buying drugs and things like that. So I think, or even your mom turning you into jail, that actually was a loving thing,
I know.
because she's trying to help you hit rock bottom.
And
All
then she
right.
left me at like a hospital the next day. She picked me up and they like left me at a hospital and they were like, you're sleeping here. And I was like, what?
Mhm.
Yeah, but I know it was for the best. You just have to love them like from afar, You can't enable them,
Mhm.
which is what my mom decided. She just
Mhm.
didn't enable me anymore.
Mhm.
So I guess love them from afar. Try to help them if you can, but don't let yourself get hurt by them in the process.
That's so hard. All right, Danielle. Oh my gosh, you guys. I love that you guys are getting into this conversation, but I feel bad.
This will be quick.
Okay.
So I've had family members that like have done drugs, and also my grandma, my closest grandma, she was a counselor in like a rehab, and I think I definitely agree with like love those people from afar, because if like talking to like people who like don't have not done drugs or like don't do drugs, but like teaching them how to be resilient against doing them, because it really is like the first time you do it is like kind of like what starts this journey for you, I guess. And I think that it's really about like knowing when it is your responsibility. Like, because I have known people, like my friends are like, oh, but I feel bad for them, I like don't want to stop being friends with them. You don't have to stop. You have to kind of like, you know, you have to like be very like mindful of how they are affecting you, you know? I think that's the most important thing when it comes to knowing people who do drugs. And also like just like being very mindful of like how you want your life to be in accordance to drugs, you know?
I had to say goodbye to like a lot of my friends, and they weren't even drug addicts, but like they would do drugs on occasion at a party, blah blah blah. And I was like, nah, I don't want to be around that. Like even so, like I just don't find the point in doing drugs ever. So I guess yeah. You just have to figure out like how you want to live and how people can affect you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Hava. Can you guys hear me? Everybody freezes except for me, so I feel like something's wrong with my internet.
I can hear you, but your screen is.
Okay. I put the link. Huh? Oh, Jaylene, do you still have your hand up or did you not put it down?
Oh, I just didn't put it down.
Okay. I didn't realize how fruitful this discussion would be, and I'm kind of sad we're out of time, but if you guys can add your thoughts to the Padlet, I'm going to share it with Hava as well, because I think it's really encouraging for her to see, like, I feel like her life is very inspiring to people because yeah, just from kind of where she was and how and you know, kind of how her perspective changed and how her outlook about her life. And we're not, as you know, we're all not in jail or in rehab at this point in our lives, but I feel like, gosh, there's so much I can take away from your story, and just even wanting my life to be like more you know, being all that I can be and not wasting the life and the talents that I've been given. I think all of us can sort of relate to that. And then the whole like drug thing is a whole nother story that maybe we can go into another time, because it is really it touches all of our lives, either now or in the future. So I think I'm glad that you were able to share about that as well. So let's go ahead and say goodbye and thank you. And and then I will stay on with